bad news. It's a beat your home, nigga. Yeah. Go on, get on that ass real quick one time. 144, baby.
They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said, of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, me whole car. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You even low or this low, so that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Wait up, let me make a call right quick. I'ma start another war. I was hurting when she left, but I don't care about it anymore. I need a Vaseline like my Nina Puffer boy. Took a Zach, watch the dark. Matter of fact, like a dart. Any problem, let them come. We gon' snatch they soul like Shang Tsung. Put them out of service, keep them tools like it's Harbor Freight. Try to hold me, it's way too late. I'm headed straight to the safe. Throw that one up like a trophy. I'm that nigga, ain't no debate. Told them boys we taking over. Call them up like set the date. This shit a piece of cake. Yeah, my bitches came from Whole Foods. Told them put on that top 3. Then bring me my house shoes. Don't make excuses. These niggas ungrateful, gotta show them UPK rules. I make hits like I can't lose. They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, me whole court. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You even low or this low, told that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Yeah, I just got off the call. I'ma start another war. Spit a plate up with my niggas, get your knife and your fork. He ain't locked in with the count, and would you speaking to me for? Yeah, I just took the floor. Ain't no cowards in my campaign. They can't stop the campaign. Tell them bring the champagne. They know I'm a champion. They can see the outcome. Get them niggas bad, got them tied down and out there. Can't do with them steppers, niggas been down since day one. We run up the bands, bitch like Dylan. They say you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. Yeah, about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, we whole court. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, told that bitch is either or. I told you niggas, you ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. And I just made the call. We gon' start another war.
But I'm a player and there's no my women riding for me. I avoided Maury, I got 2 jets. If I can't make it through for them, then I'm useless. Sit down that roof, Chris, with a couple bosses. After the war, just to count our losses. It's not many. You see a smile on my face, but I'm not friendly. Gun on my waist, sipping white Henny. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Waiting on this war in my whole life. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Living in this war in my whole life. My whole life. It's so melodic. When I be dropping this ebonics, this ghetto phonics, it got me on the level supersonic. My bomb atomic, and you know where you can find me. Somewhere probably folding this paper origami. My name is pure as the Sani. My features. Now she got a BBL, her ass fatter. Trying to show up all them niggas that laughed at her. Now when they see her, they only wanna fuck her. They just wanna touch her, they don't wanna cuff her. They just wanna come and kick it with her like a punter. Turned her to a runner, now it's all aboard the train. Fenty on her face, but it's not concealing the pain, it's a shame. So I'm in the hood like some rap snacks. I know niggas kill you and your mama for a scat pack. Dark tint, matte black, they do it for half that. Had you like 90s Missy in a fucking trash bag. I'm from Philly, we don't do bank accounts, just cash app. I spit a verse and I just watch the time slow. This that guy flow, this that shit that rappers die for. This that uncut Tahoe Wall straight from Pablo Escobar. I be at the bar like Moscato. They think it's effort, but no, this that block work. Make the countermeasures, take pleasures, making an op hurt. Light is in the sky, cause every verse is a concert. My mind work at speed y'all can't fathom. Listen to the words of a champion. And Ken, the streets need another anthem. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know lie. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Waiting on the squab in my whole life. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know lie. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Living in the squab in my whole life. My whole life.
The beat.
I don't know who, somebody need to hear this. Y'all don't speak Hebrew, that's Yiddish. How the fuck you try to label us anti-Semitic? We the Israelites, blacks, native Hispanics. The Germans getting locked up for the Holocaust. Meanwhile, black people still up in the Holocaust. 100 million of us died in the transatlantic. 6 million died, y'all want the world to never forget it. You can never be a Jew, you a Ashkenaz. This ain't a star dum-dum, a gun die or die. Yeah, Yeezy told the truth and got ostracized. Not one person in the Bible had on a yarmulke. We were slaves in America like we was in Egypt. Y'all don't even fit the curses in the Torah neither. Y'all was blind to the truth, I had to make it clear. How Jerusalem, your land, your people came from Europe. That was 1947, your menorah got 9 sticks, it's really only 7. Yeah, it's us against the world, Armageddon. This what happened when you inherit lies from your ancestors. Y'all the synagogue of Satan with them black hats. Your whole nation sitting ducks, Aflacs. Bunch of thieves and culture vultures, ain't nothing kosher. To tell the truth, you vagabonds don't have a culture. Macedonia, Alexander and Philip, you a convert, so tell me, how the fuck is you Israel? That don't make you the people just cause you live there. Why my people can't hate your people like y'all hate Hitler? All the prophets was black and was called nigga. Y'all don't even fit the description that's in the scriptures. Abraham, all the way down to Jacob, we the real Jews. Y'all don't study Christ, y'all follow the Talmud. Keep it real, yeah, let's keep it real. Cold hard truth, it give you chills. Say y'all Jewish cause y'all ain't really them. About to do them like Hammond, it's the feast of Purim. UPK undefeated, this an easy win. We was born fighting, y'all the evil twin. Jacob took hold of his heel, then out came his little red bastard and they kosher deals. It's only 12 tribes, y'all trying to make it 13. Esau despised his birthright, the Lord cursed him. He ain't the devil, who is? I'm still searching. Ask your rabbi, why he get them babies herpes? I don't know what's worse, that or you claiming that you a Maccabee. I'm about to cancel, everybody try to cancel ye. I ain't afraid to speak, that's what I do. They riding to the core, I'm just judging them by their fruit. Cause they ain't suffering curses. If I was carnal, I promise I'd punch you in person. I know this an uncomfortable subject. They making millions off our culture and black people suffering from it. Yeah, they don't believe in Christ, they the Antichrist. Make a living off of niggas, they a parasite. I ain't afraid to tell the truth, niggas terrified. I'm about to go DEFCON 4, I ain't satisfied.
That is proof. That is absolute proof that they know we are the real Jews. That's absolute proof. Like, he got the records. Go find me a white Jew on any archaeology in Egypt anywhere. You will never find a piece of archaeology with white people as slaves in Egypt. So don't tell me that they were slaves and it's their identity, and they know it. And I know
the ghettos of America. God's chosen people are in poverty and depression in the streets of America. God's chosen people are walking around in America with no identity. That's where God's chosen people are.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Yahba Shema Shah Barakatham. Yahweh Shema Thun by Shem Yahweh Shah. Listen, we about to come up. We coming up on the Lord's 54th annual Passover, man. It's a whole week of activities, man. We gonna be getting it in. You better come on through. Be there or be square. Look, Wednesday, we got the lamb slaughter with Captain Akkad, man, doing it up from 1:30 to 5:30 that Wednesday. We having it at Custom Meats, man. 1921 Strickland Road. That's down in Clayton, North Carolina. And then we got the King's Bowling, man. 9 p.m. until, you understand, 9 p.m. until. And then at 10 p.m. we also concurrently got the Paint the Town Red going on. That's down at Club with the club promotion with Party Boy, man. They're going to be getting it in. And also from 10 to 2, we got at the Botanical Lounge, 419 Glenwood Avenue in Raleigh. We got the Botanical Lounge. Man, we're going to get it in Thursday from 10 to 2 p.m. We got the Black Wall Street Tour. That's down in Durham, man, at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Then, and also from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., we're going to be rolling to the Stagville Slave Plantation, man. Commander General Yohana going to be speaking at both of them, man. He's going to be speaking in both. Then at 7 p.m. to midnight, we got the all-black party, boy, down in Durham at the Durham Armory, 212 Foster Street. Listen, that's $25 per person. But if you pay your $200 Passover fee in full, before that, you get in the black party free. We having a jam. We jammed it out last year with Hebrew Academy. We're going to make it bigger this year. The black party coming up. Look, remember, free if you pay your Passover fee. Friday, 10 in the morning to 2 p.m., we having a kids party at Adventure Landing, man. They're going to be getting it in with the children. That's in Raleigh. $30 per child, man. We're going to be getting it in with the children. I might be there, man. I love the children. Hell, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. We got class, of course, with General Hyman. Y'all know how that go. Come on now. He's going to be dropping the scripture breakdown class at 10 p.m. to midnight. We rolling over to the live jazz band called Reggie Bowie Project, man. The Reggie Bowie Project going to be getting it in, doing live jazz. That's at the Sheraton Ballroom. The Sheraton Ballroom is one of the hotels we got reserved, the main hotel. 421 South Salisbury, man, Street. That's in Raleigh, too. Saturday, that's the big day. Come on now. 5 p.m., the Lord's 54th annual Passover. $200 per person, man. Come on, bring it in. That lamb, the bread, the wine, the strong drink, the brotherhood, the sisterhood. It's a family reunion, y'all. Y'all better come through. Y'all better come through, man. And then Sunday, y'all can chill all day after the Passover, but at 7 p.m., we having a feast of unleavened bread, man. Unleavened bread, where we're going to eat more of that unleavened bread. We're going to eat more lamb that's left over, and we're going to drink, and we're going to still party, man. You know what I'm saying? Listen, 7 p.m. until. We go home when you're ready to go home. We're going to do it up. Just be safe, be professional. You know how we do it, One West. Listen, nobody does it like One West ISUPK. Y'all know that. And nobody can mess with Commander General Yohana or the ISUPK except those who mess with Commander General Yohana and the ISUPK. Shalom.
Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatham, Yahweh Shemar Thumb Bashem Yahweh Shai. Hey, this precinct officer on my Wanga bar. You feel me? ISUPK, Kentucky. You feel me? And tonight, what we're going to do, we're going to be breaking down the Feast of Purim. You feel me? Because what blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians got to understand, we have to come back to our holidays. You feel me? That's what they call them in the world. But in the Bible, it's called a high holy day. You feel me? But the so-called white man has took everything from us. You feel me? Everything we do, he took from us. The Ishmaelites, the so-called Arabs, they did it too. feel me? They always worship many gods. They only worship one God now because we always worship one God. You feel me? They celebrate stuff every year because we celebrated stuff every year. But the only difference between us and them, our stuff is real. No pun intended. It's real. No pun intended. It's real. But if our stuff is real, they stuff is fake. They stuff is man-made. Like they about to celebrate Easter. You feel me? Easter is not real. Rabbits don't lay eggs. You feel me? And what we're doing, we're gonna break down tonight the Feast of Purim, why we celebrate it. You feel me? Why, you feel me? It was written for us to celebrate it. You feel me? Throughout our generations. You feel me? So if I could, let's go ahead and get it started. Let's go to Esther 1:1.
Come, sir. The book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus that reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 107 provinces.
Right. So this king, he reigned over 127 provinces. And what you got to understand about Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we always been in captivity under nations like this because we didn't want to keep the commandments. You feel me? And this particular slavery we in right now is under King Ahasuerus. You feel me? And he was the king over the Persians and the Medes. And they ruled over 127 provinces. And that's a lot of land. You feel me? Because you got to, okay, think about Canada. Canada is 10 provinces on its own. You feel me? Canada is 10. Just think how big Canada is. And Canada is only 10 provinces. So think about 127. You feel me? This man ruled with an iron fist. You feel me? A heathen. You go ahead. We're going all the way to verse 3.
Come, sir. Verse 2. That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace. Verse 3. In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants. The power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He was the king over the Persian and the Medes, you feel me? Which was a time we was enslaved. See, what you gotta understand, Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we have been in slavery more than we've been free. That's what Black people just don't want to get. But if they understood why, we will finally be free from out of these captivities. We keep going into captivity because we don't understand that that's what's going to happen. That's what Moses prophesied to us was going to happen if we didn't keep the commandments. So you could drop down to verse 14.
Come, sir. Verse 14. And the next unto him was Karshina, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marcina, Memucan, and the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face and which sat the first in the kingdom. Verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti, according to the law?
Right, now this was his queen. You feel me? This was his wife. You feel me? This was the one that sat on the side of him while he ruled. And what she did is she disobeyed him. You feel me? He's the king. He's the ruler right now. And she disobeyed him, which was like a death penalty offense at the time. And they asked him, what should we do with Vashti? You go ahead.
Because she had not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains.
Right, because they know that you disobey the king, man, you feel me? It's punishable by death. So they asking like, man, what should we do with her? Feel me? But this is his wife at the time. We're going all the way to 18.
Come. Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen have not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes. And
Right. Also to all the princes. Like, you feel me? Her showing her unsubmissiveness to the king You feel me? That's gonna cause an uprise in all the other people's wives. You feel me? Because unsubmissiveness is a heathen trait. You feel me? That's their culture. You feel me? Black women, they think that's what they get it from. You feel me? Black women think that they get it from themselves the whole time. They get it from the heathens, man. That's their culture. You sitting out there trying to get you a white girl. You feel me? You want to get you an East Indian. You want to get you an African. Man, you're going to be going through the same shit. You sit out there thinking, yeah, I'm going to get me an African girl. She submits. I'm going to give me a white girl. Man, you're going to go through the same shit, man. Because that's their culture, actually. You feel me? It takes a real man to rule over a woman. It ain't got nothing to do with what race she is. You think because you're going to get you a heathen woman that you're going to get her to listen to you and this and that. Man, that's not true.
And to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus.
Right. So everybody, all the women, guess what they're going to want to do? They're going to want to follow after what the queen did. If the queen can not listen to what the king say, they going to feel like they can do the same thing in their household, whether they poor or rich.
Verse 17, for this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All women going to take on this culture because that's a heathen culture. She's a heathen woman. You feel me? And all women are going to see like, damn, she did that. Like, think about what Donald Trump and his wife. You feel me? The porn star. All that stuff she was doing to him, embarrassing him. Like, he trying to hold her hand. She's snatching away from him. All that stuff, that spirit to jump on other women, you feel me? That's lesser than her.
So that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
When it should be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Right. That's all that happened. He told her to come and she said no. He told her to come and she said no. And that is going to call an uproar and throughout the whole kingdom. And they had to put a stop to that. You go ahead.
Verse 18, likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say unto this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
Mm-hmm. And they say like this ain't a good thing. This is not a good thing. And it's funny how the so-called white man, this is what he does in the black community, though. You feel me? The Persians and the Medes, they knew that this was a bad thing for this to happen. But somehow the so-called white man and the preachers is teaching women to be like this. They teaching them to be unsubmissive, to be reckless. Like that spirit is not going to go through the whole community. And then what you got now? A bunch of baby mamas and a bunch of baby daddies. A bunch of kids that don't know who their father is. A bunch of niggas on child support. You feel me? All this stuff is coming from learning from the heathens, man. So you could drop that. Go to Esther 2 and 3.
The book of Esther chapter 2, verse 3. And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan, the palace.
Right. So the king, after all that is happening with Vashti, he looking for him a new rib, which I advise all you brothers out there to do. Now, the king Vashti wasn't a brother. You feel me? But he also wasn't a slave either. You feel me? And that's what you should do when you run across a woman like that. You shouldn't beat her. You feel me? You shouldn't hit her, none of that, catching no domestic. You should go find you a new one.
To the house of the women, unto the custody of heads, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given to them.
Right. So yeah, he went out and told all his officers, man, go find me a new woman. You go ahead. We're going all the way to 12.
Come. Verse 4. And let the maiden be pleased the king, be queen instead of Vashti.
Mm-hmm. He getting rid of her. Now, us being Israelites, we cannot commit adultery. which is putting away your wife. You feel me? You have to just deal with what's going on. But we will tell you, man, go get you another one. You feel me? But he was putting her away, which is, we don't teach that.
And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Verse 5. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai.
Right. And Mordecai was a very righteous man, a soldier, you feel me? But the book wasn't named after him because the woman that he took in to be his daughter, Esther, you feel me? She's the one that sacrificed. But basically, this whole book of Esther is really about what Mordecai set up for a lot of people that, want to give power unto women to take charge and leadership. That's not what this book is about. It's named after her for respect for what she done, how she put her life on the line. You feel me? But Mordecai is the one that set this up. You go ahead.
The son of Jair, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
Right, Benjamite. So-called today would be a West Indian, Jamaican, from the Caribbean islands, Trinidad, stuff like that.
Verse 6, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, the king of Judah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We going in captivity after captivity. You feel me? You go ahead.
Whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
That's what I'm saying. We just getting handed off to different nations. You feel me? We getting handed off to different nations, going into captivity because we don't want to keep the commandments. That's all we got to do. You keep thinking it's stocks, bonds, and cryptocurrency. It ain't. I'm gonna keep saying that too, because a lot of you keep thinking it's stocks, bonds, and cryptocurrency. I still don't even know what cryptocurrency is. I did a whole class about it and still don't know what it is. Remember we did? I still don't even know what the hell the shit is. But I'm just saying, y'all keep thinking that's what's gonna save you, and it ain't. It's keeping these commandments. Otherwise, we're gonna go into captivity after captivity. We went into captivity of Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar, and now we under the damn Osiris, whatever, however you pronounce his name, a damn Persian, which is basically I think today they'd be the East Indians, if I ain't mistaken. You go ahead.
Verse 7. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful.
Right. Yeah, she was bad. Esther was bad. What you would call a 10.
Whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
Mm-hmm. Took for his own daughter. You feel me? She ain't had no mother or father, so he took her in. You feel me? Which is righteous. You feel me? Mordecai was a righteous brother.
Verse 8. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered unto Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women.
All right, so that's what I said. This was Mordecai plan. You feel me? Esther ain't know nothing about this.
Verse 9. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and she speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred.
Right, so they don't even know who she is. You feel me? For all they know, she's a damn African or something. The whole time she's an Israelite. You feel me? From the tribe of Benjamin. But she ain't said nothing about it, because that's what Mordecai's plan was. That's why I say the book should have been called Mordecai, but Esther was the one that sacrificed her life. You feel me? So the Most High knew what he was doing, naming it Esther. But this was Mordecai's plan, because I know a lot of women out there in the world that use sisters like Esther to be thinking that why they should be preachers, why they should be leaders of the house, and that's just not true. You feel me? That is not true. Esther really didn't even know what was going on.
For Mordecai had not charged her that she should not show it.
Right.
Verse 11. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
Right, because she didn't even know what she was getting into. That's what I'm saying. This was Mordecai playing. She didn't know what the hell she was getting into. You feel me? But Mordecai wanted to save his people, man. And Mordecai, knowing history, knowing that every time we go into captivity, a lot of us die. So it was just a matter of time before it happened. You feel me? And especially as wicked and evil as this king was, and the people that he had under him, knowing that the people he had under him didn't like us either. And we're going to get into that in a minute.
Verse 12. Now when every maid's term was come to go into King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of women. For so were the days of their purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh.
You say 6 what?
6 months with oil of myrrh.
See what I'm saying? We be selling ourselves short. We selling ourselves short, man. This goddamn heathen, he waited 6 months for this woman to bathe in oil of myrrh. It's like you can get that light out of that cabinet. Salakia, my bad. I should have been done this. But nah, though, we settle ourselves short. Because this goddamn heathen, he didn't damn let this Salakia, he didn't let our sister bathe in oil for 6 months. You feel me? For 6 damn months, man, before he even took her to be his damn wife. We having one night stands with women that smoke black and mild.
Right.
They smoking, what they used to call it back in the day, marijuana cigarettes. Salakia, man. We having one night stands with all type of booger whoops and everything, man. And we the children of God, man. We God chosen people, but a damn heathen, man. He let her bathe for 6 months, man. We settling ourselves short in oil. Man, Salakia, man. When I had read the oil of myrrh, that made me remember I'm supposed to have that damn frankincense and myrrh lit. Salakia. Yeah, you go ahead.
6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odor.
Oh, 6 months with sweet odor, man. Sweet odor. That's what I'm saying. We selling ourselves short, man. You feel me? It's women out here, y'all going to jail, domestics over. They smoking black and milds. I can't get over. I'm sorry. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I ain't never seen a woman smoke no black and milds. I move up, and they be smoking them like it's just not even nothing. I'm like, damn, sis, you stressing. You need to come holler at the priest. But nah, they don't want no smoke with us. You feel me? They want to smoke something else. You keep going.
And with other things for the purifying of the women.
What you think that other thing is? Ooh, that's that gynecologist. That's that stuff they do to make that box right. You feel me? That's what I'm saying. We selling ourselves short, man. This king had something up on us, man. I ain't gonna lie. But nah, that's only because we was in captivity. You feel me? We been in captivity, man. You feel me? That's the type of stuff we going through. You feel me?
Right.
But yeah, you could drop that. Go down to 17.
Come. Verse 17. And the king loved Esther above all the women.
I bet he did. He got a bathe in the oil for 6 months.
And she obtained grace and favor in his sight, more than all the virgins.
Right, and these is virgins, you feel me? These women ain't never been touched, not defiled, you feel me?
So that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
Right, he chose her over that heathen, you feel me? But you choosing heathens over your man, look. You feel me? Y'all is crazy. You choosing heathens over your sisters. But the heathens rather choose our women, you feel me? You go ahead.
Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king.
You keep going.
Verse 19. And when the virgins were gathered together a second time, Then Mordecai sat at the king's gate.
Remember, Mordecai been lurking. This is Mordecai set this up. He been waiting for this. This is what he was. He knew that this was gonna happen. You feel me? This was his plan. You feel me? Of course, it was of the Most High. You feel me? But he used Mordecai. You feel me, to do this. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people.
She still ain't said she was even a Jew. She didn't even say she was from the tribe of Benjamin, or Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. She still ain't even said it yet, because this was Mordecai wanted her to do. He didn't want her to. Go ahead.
As Mordecai had charged her.
Right. He told her not to.
But Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
Right. He raised her, man. This was like his daughter, man. She had no mother and father. He took her in, man. And she was the one that was going to save Israel from being killed, man. You feel me? From dying. So you can drop that and let's go to Esther 3:1.
Common concept. The book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite.
Right, the Agagite. And what you got to understand about the Agagite, see, that's what I'm saying. If you don't know the players in this book, you will read this stuff and you wouldn't even pay no attention to it. You don't hear no Christians talking about Haman. Why ain't no Christian pastors teaching about Haman and who he was? Or even the king Osiris, however you say his name. You feel me? He was the king over the Persians and the Medes at the time. You feel me? Why they don't teach about neither one of these? You know why? Because then the East Indians wouldn't even be able to run all them businesses in your neighborhood. Haman, the Agagites, you know what that is? That's the Amalekite king. You feel me? That Solomon was supposed to kill. That's the nation that's the Pacific family he come from. You feel me? That Pacific family of Amalekites. The Agagites, man, King Saul was told to kill all of them. And he saved their king, you feel me? Then Samuel had to kill him. And King Saul lost his, you feel me, his rank because of that. That's what you would call it today. He lost his rank. You feel me? He wasn't the king no more. You feel me? It was passed on to King David. And his particular family, and look what they're doing now, years later, hundreds of years later. You feel me? Now they trying to kill all of us. You feel me? So yeah, Haman is what today would be a so-called Jewish man. You go ahead.
And advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
Right. So he basically like the vice president over all these provinces. You feel me? Over this whole kingdom, he like the vice president. And he's a Jewish man, a so-called Jewish man, a white Jewish man today. Feel me? He's from the son, one of the sons of Esau.
Verse 2. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman.
Right.
But the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
Right. Mordecai had no respect for him. You feel me? Because Mordecai is a wise man, and he know that Haman is Esau's son, which we kept in submission until the kingdom split. Esau was kept into submission. They was in the caves and they couldn't come out. They couldn't set a king over them. They couldn't do nothing. You feel me? During the time of King David and Solomon and Solomon's sons. You feel me? Until the split in the kingdom. So Mordecai would never bow to Haman because he was a white boy. You feel me? Go ahead. We're going all the way to verse 6.
Verse 3. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgresseth thou the king's commandment?
Right. Yeah, because he ain't want to bow to Haman.
Verse 4. Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had not told him that he was a Jew.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath.
Right. So now he got a personal vendetta. You feel me? Haman already don't. It said Esau was gonna kill us with the sword. You You feel me? That was back in Genesis, the 25th chapter. They say he was going to live by the sword and he was going to kill his brother Jacob. So for Haman to see Mordecai not want to bow to him, oh yeah, he was full of wrath. You feel me? This Jacob and Esau all over it again. You feel me? All throughout the Bible is Jacob and Esau. This not even Esau's kingdom. This the Persians and the Medes. That's the East Indians. You feel me? This ain't got nothing to do with Esau, but he's the second in command. So somehow it still go back to Jacob and Esau at the end of the day.
Verse 6. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone.
Right. Right. Yeah, all right. That would have been lucky for him to do that. Mordecai wasn't no bitch.
For they had shown him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus.
Right.
Even the people of Mordecai.
Right. That's even the Benjamites. Because, you know, we always stay with our tribes. Even though we all Israel, we all still stay with our tribes. That's how when they enslaved the southern kingdom and brought them over here, that's why people be wondering, how did all the Benjamites go to the West Indies? How did all the Haitians go to Haiti? How did all the so-called African Americans come to America and stuff like that? That's because we always stayed with our tribe, even though we still all Israel. But anyway, Haman found out that the Jews was Mordecai people. And he said, "Oh, well, we're gonna kill all of them." Because him being a second in command over 127 provinces, you feel me? He could do it if he wanted to. So his thing was to kill all of us. You feel me? And he would have done it too if it wasn't for Mordecai and Esther. You feel me? So yeah, you could drop that. Let's go to you just drop down to verse 8.
Verse 8, verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there was a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of that kingdom.
Right. So now he done went to the king and told him about us. Because Mordecai didn't want to bow to him, because Mordecai, you feel me? He didn't have no respect for Esau. You feel me? He had no respect for Esau. Esau gave him his birthright for a piece of meat. Esau was a natural born homosexual. Esau said he was going to kill us once Isaac died. You feel me? And that's exactly what he's been doing. So why would Mordecai bow down to him, man?
And their laws are diverse from all people.
Yeah, our laws is diverse from all people. Because everybody do what the hell they want to do. But us. You feel me? Everybody can do whatever they want to do but blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We can't eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. We can't celebrate every holiday, everything everybody do. We can't do what everybody else do. That's why we suffer. At every bad category, we at the top. But we also the most famous people in history because we invented everything. We the backbone behind every good thing that ever happened. It's a black man or woman behind it. You feel me? But we can't do what these other heathens do. That's why I say their laws are diverse from all people.
Need to keep the king's laws.
Right, need to keep the king's law. That's just like right now. They put it out in America. They say you could be LGBTQ. When statistics show that most black people is not with that. Regardless of the ones that's doing it, statistics show most black people is against alternative lifestyles. You feel me? We're against all that stuff. You feel me?
Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
You could drop down to verse 13.
Come, sir. Verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old.
Verse young and old. But that sounds like abortion. Feel me? Police brutality. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Ain't nothing new, man. We going through the same stuff we've been going through, man. And this is gonna keep happening unless we stop, you feel me, doing what the white man do and start doing what God told us to do.
little children and women, and one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, to take the spoil of them for prey. Verse 14.
Now you can stop there. Let's go to Esther 4 and 1 through 3.
The book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes.
He ripped his clothes. Like he ripped them up. That's what we used to do back then. You feel me? When stuff bad was happening.
And put on sackcloth with ashes.
Right. He put on baggy clothes, dirty clothes. You feel me? Because he didn't feel high and mighty. You feel me? He felt low.
And went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry.
This ain't right. What's happening ain't right, man. A lot of us was finna die, and he knew it. You feel me? He knew it. You go ahead.
Verse 2. And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth.
Right.
Verse 3. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was a great mourning among the Jews.
Right, there was a great mourning of the Jews. You feel me? Great mourning. What this sound like? The civil rights movement. You feel me? This sound like Jim Crow. You feel me? It was a great mourning of the Jews. We keep mourning over and over again, but we don't want to realize why. We don't want to take accountability. You feel me? We got to understand, we got to keep these laws and commandments, man. It's going to be a great mourning. It's going to keep being a great mourning of the Jews. Whatever you want to call us, Negroes, African Americans, Afro-American, that's a damn Hester. I don't even know what's up with that. But damn, it's going to keep being a great mourning. That's going to keep happening. If we don't keep these commandments, I don't give a fuck what the hell you want to do. So like, excuse my language.
And fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
That's us right there. That's black people. We the ones doing that. Everybody else got businesses and living prosperous. They got armies and their own land. We the only ones going through that, man. So you could drop that. Let's go to 4 and 8.
Verse 8. Also, he gave them a copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king.
Right. So Mordecai, like, look, man, look, I done put you here for a reason. Look what the hell about to happen.
To make supplication unto him, and to make requests before him for her people.
Right, for her people. You feel me? So he could stop this madness that's about to happen, because this happened every time we go into slavery. Mordecai seen it before it was finna happen, and now he's trying to stop it. You go ahead.
Verse 9. And Hatak came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Verse 10. Again Esther spake unto Hatak, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. Verse 11. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whatsoever, whether man or woman, shall come into the king, into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death.
Right. So Mordecai wanted her to go to the king and tell him to stop this. But she told, what was his name? Hatak. She told Hatak to go tell Mordecai, like, if I do that, I'm going to be put to death. I'm going to die if I do that, man. I can't just go into his court like that.
Except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter.
Right. That's what he got to do. You feel me? For you to be accepted, for him to, let you into his court.
That he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. Verse 12. And they told Mordecai Esther's words. Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape the king's house.
Right. And that's what we got to do as a nation. You feel me? A woman, Esther, could do it. Why we can't do it? You feel me? A woman did it way back then. Why we can't do it? You feel me? Think not of thyself. You feel me? Or what you want. But instead do what God wants you to do. Feel me? That's what we got to do. We got to start doing what God wants us to do and not what ourselves tell us. Because Esther herself was telling her, hell no. But that ain't what God wanted though.
More than all the Jews. Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place.
Mm-hmm.
But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed.
Right. So he telling her, like, if you hold your peace, if you don't say, you feel me, what I need you to say to this king, that man, a lot of us gonna die. Yeah, you gonna be straight. You gonna be living luxury. But your people gonna be destroyed, man.
And who knoweth whether thou art come to this kingdom for such a time as this?
Right. This is the best time to do this. You feel me? It's the best time to do this.
Verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer.
We're going all the way to 17.
Come. Verse 16. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan and fast ye for me.
Right. She tell them to go fast. Just like with the Day of Atonement. You feel me? We got to fast for, do an atonement for our sins that we done in the past. You feel me?
And neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise.
Right. Fasting is spiritual, man. You feel me? Fasting is spiritual. Ain't nothing wrong with fasting just on the regular. You feel me? Take you a day or two. You don't want to eat no food. You feel me? You want to go a day without water, stuff like that. Or you want to fast with pop or with just whatever. Fast food. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's spiritual. That's our culture.
And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law.
And that's why she's saying all this, because she like, damn, y'all, I ain't, you feel me? You feel me? Y'all done set me. No, I'm just joking. But she was on some real nigga time though. She like, all right, well, y'all want to do all this, I'm gonna need some prayer, I'm gonna need some fasting, I'm gonna need all kind of stuff, because this is serious what I'm about to do. Because she didn't probably seen people killed for this act that he's telling her to do.
And if I perish, I perish.
That's what I'm saying. And she know, like, this is a death penalty offense right here. Just going in the king court without permission.
Verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
Oh, yeah, so you could drop that. Let's go to 5 and 2.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 5, verse 2.
So he went and told all the Jews to go fast and all that. Because he like, well, this shit is serious right here. I might die. Y'all might not never hear from me again.
And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand.
And that's what she was talking about. That's what she said that's going to happen, when you accept it. But if he don't do it, then you're going to die. But he seen her and he accepted her.
So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Verse 3. And said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom.
He said he'll give her half of the kingdom. You feel me? She risked her life for that, though. You feel me? She risked her life for that. Because she was a soldier. You feel me? That's why I say a lot of men out here, you dealing with oppositions. You feel me? You ain't dealing with soldiers. You dealing with women as your opposition. And she was a soldier. Like, real talk.
verse 4.
Now you could drop that. Let's go to 6 and 1.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 1. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the Chronicles.
Right, and what you think that was? This ain't no different than when the Most High went to a heathen in a dream when they was about to kill Abraham, when Abraham was passing through their country. You feel me? This king, he couldn't sleep. You feel me? And he had to look up the records.
And they were read before the king.
We're going all the way to verse 4.
Come. Verse 2. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on King Ahasuerus.
Right. So it was two men that was in the king's court that wanted to kill him. And Mordecai told, you feel me, about them that was about to happen. You feel me? And it was stopped. But this the thing though, the king didn't even know nothing about this. He didn't know this. Mordecai did this for a reason. He ain't love the king. He did this for a reason, man. And it just happened to work in his favor. Good.
Verse 3. And the king said, what honor and dignity have been done to Mordecai for this?
Right, and that's why he did it, so he can earn favor and honor and dignity from the king, because we was in captivity, and that was the only way he could save his people. You feel me? He had to get honor and dignity from the king. But the king didn't even know this happened. And he's like, damn, what the hell? What did he get for this? Ain't nobody give him nothing? Go ahead.
Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, there was nothing done for him.
Right. So his life was saved by a man that ain't even his nation, and they ain't even give him nothing for it.
Verse 4. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was coming to the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him.
Right. So it just so happened the king couldn't sleep. And he looked at his records and found out a man named Mordecai saved his life. And now the day after, it's a man, the second in command, Haman, the Jewish man, a so-called Jewish man today, he'd be a white Jewish man, Israeli. He came up to him talking about how he should hang Mordecai. Yeah, so you could drop that and let's go to 6 and 10.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 10. Then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew, that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Haman's plan is low-key backfiring.
Verse 11. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighted to honor.
Right. So that's backwards of what Haman wanted. Haman wanted to hang him and kill all his people, but now he's honoring him because the king couldn't sleep one night and read the records and found out Mordecai saved his life.
Verse 12. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning and having his head cut.
Right. So when that happened, he fled. You feel me? Haman fled and ran home. You feel me? He was mourning and sad because he wanted to kill Mordecai because Mordecai didn't want to bow to him, and he wanted to kill all Mordecai's people, which is the Jews.
Verse 13. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife.
Right, ran to his bitch, gossiping to his bitch, which is a heathen culture. That ain't Israelite culture, that's heathen culture.
And all his friends, everything that had befallen him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he sent his wise men and Zeresh, his wife, unto him. And Mordecai be the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall. thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him.
Right. So he like, damn, we were supposed to kill him and his people. But now it's looking like the opposite about to happen. Haman knew it. He like, damn, we were supposed to kill him and all his people, and the opposite is about to happen. You feel me? Haman didn't even know what was going on. You feel me? He got hit with the okie doke. Yeah, you could drop that and let's go to 7 and 2.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 2. And the king said unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther?
Mm-hmm.
And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be.
Hold on, wait. The brother say half the kingdom. This one fine woman. It's a lie. Hell no. He say half the kingdom. Yeah, she was bad. Yeah, she from the tribe of Benjamin, and they definitely is. What the hell is this? Yeah, you go ahead.
And it should be performed even to the half of the kingdom. Verse 3. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request.
Right, so she's trying to reverse everything that Haman set up. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 4. For we are sold, and my people to be destroyed.
Right, she say, for we are sold. So the white Jewish man think this is talking about him? When the hell the white Jewish man ever been sold? Only people ever been sold is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Right. On a goddamn auction block. The hell out of hell. Who the hell ever been sold in history but us? Y'all better stop listening to these white Jewish people, man. Feel me? They don't know nothing about this book. You feel me? They say they believe in the Torah. We know more about the Torah than they do. You know why? Because we is the real Jews. We is the people that Haman was trying to kill and Mordecai was trying to save. Haman is the white Jewish man. You feel me? You go ahead.
But if we have been sold for bondmen and bondwomen.
Right, bondmen, slave men and slave women. Only blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians been sold for slave men and slave women.
I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Verse 5. Then King Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so?
Right. That's why I say she's trying to counter everything that Haman set up, because he set up that all the Jews should be killed. You feel me? And she's trying to do away with that. You go ahead.
Verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary.
Right, adversary. You feel me? Adversary. You know what adversary means? The devil. That's what the definition of the devil means. We say the white man is the devil, and they be like, well, damn, what is they think about a red man under the ground? The adversary is somebody that goes against something that you believe. That's all it is. And the so-called white man is the adversary of God, because he goes against everything that the Most High stands for.
And enemy is this wicked Haman.
Right, this wicked Haman.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
He was afraid because he knew it. He was already talking to his wife and his friends because he knew it. He said, damn, if they're going to be with them, then that means we're going to fall.
Verse 7.
We're going all the way to 10.
Come. Verse 7. And the king arose from the banquet of wine, and his wrath went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life.
Mm-hmm. Now he begging for his life. Feel me? He begging for his life because we stood strong. We stood strong. We didn't fold. What that sound? That sound like Kanye West. Kanye West stood strong, and now Adidas begging him to keep it going. Now they want to keep the relationship going now.
to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
Yeah, it was, because that's his wife, Esther. Now, we don't believe in interracial dating. Esther was a Hebrew Israelite. The king was a heathen. You feel me? But she was used to save us, man. To save us.
Verse 8, then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
Right. Haman he knew he was about to die. And they put a hood over his head. And back then, that's what that meant when they put a hood over your head. That mean they finna cut your shit off. And he deserved that because he conspired to kill all of the Jews because he hated us because of Esau and Jacob. When he seen Mordecai didn't want to bow to him, he thought about Jacob getting the birthright. The same way we got records, Esau got records too. And they passed down records throughout generations, and they knew that we was their enemy. All because we got the birthright. Not because we done nothing evil to Esau like he done to us, hanging us from trees of city to city, putting us in slavery, all that different type of stuff, the Romans and the Greeks and stuff like that. But throughout their generation was passed down that, man, we got the birthright and they didn't. And they should kill us for it because God ain't dealing with them anyway. So what they got to lose? Go ahead.
Verse 9, and Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai.
Right, he made that for Mordecai to hang him.
Who has spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 10.
That's what they did. Go ahead.
So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified.
Right. So Haman set all this up to hang Mordecai and kill him to make himself feel esteemed. I mean, I don't know what it was. And the whole time it was used to kill him. Stand strong. That's all I'm going to say. Stay strong and fight through. And that's what Mordecai did. And look what happened. His adversary, the devil, the Bible speaks of, ended up being hanged instead of him. So you could drop that. Let's go to Esther 8:1.
Concept. The book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 1. On that day did the king Ahasuerus give the house of Haman, the Jews' enemy.
Mm-hmm. Adversary. See what I'm saying? When we say the white man, the devil, we talking about he's the adversary. He's our adversary. He's our opposition. And we God's chosen people. You feel me?
Enemy unto Esther the queen. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her.
Mm-hmm. We're going all the way to verse 8.
Verse 2. And he took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai.
Mm-hmm. So that ring he gave to Haman was the ring so Haman could make decisions and pass it throughout the kingdom with the signature. You feel me? Just like we rock the shield of David. You feel me? We rock the shield of David. It's his signature. That ring that he gave to Haman was his signature, so everybody could know throughout the 127 provinces that he ruled, could know it came from him. And he gave it to Mordecai.
And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman.
Right. Haman was the second in command. So now Mordecai is the second in command over all these provinces, which of course the Jews feel because we was the slaves, the lower class.
Verse 3. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite,
Mm-hmm.
and his device that he had devised against the Jews.
Right, all the stuff that Haman came up with to oppress us, she's trying to do away with. You feel me? She's begging the king to do away with it, which is what not Barack Obama. What's her name? Michelle Obama. That's what she's supposed to have done. You feel me? That's a prime example of what happened back then is what could have happened right now. Michelle Obama could have did the same thing Esther did, but Michelle Obama was too lustful. You feel me? Too much about her own self. So she didn't think about her people. So she let us suffer, and all they gave us was Obamacare. All they gave us was Obamacare. When Michelle could have pushed for way more. And it's funny because her family is like, they fake Israelites. Her family that she come from, they fake Israelites. You feel me? But of course, they like Christians still at the end of the day.
Verse 4, then the king held out the golden scepter to Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king.
Right, yep. And another thing why I brought that up, because Barack Obama put that in his movie on Netflix, where he came up against Hebrew Israelites while they was at camp and stuff like that. But that's because her family is like, they Judaism Israelite. They not like, you feel me, outside teaching the white man the devil. They basically Christians. They just teach we all Jews and stuff like that.
Verse 5, and if it please the king, and I have found favor in his sight, and the things seem right before the king, and I be pleasing to his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite.
Right, so she trying to basically redo all that stuff that he set up because it was gonna kill us.
Which he wrote to destroy the Jews, which are in all the king's provinces.
Right, which is 127, which is a lot. Like we said, 10 provinces is Canada. So you do the math on that.
Verse 6, for how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred?
Right. So she being his wife, the queen, she like, I can't see that. Like, you want to make me happy. You want me to be happy with you. I can't see that happen. So Esther, marrying this heathen, you feel me, was to save a lot of people, man. It wasn't because we believe in interracial dating. That ain't got nothing to do with this. For the people out there that are just so lustful.
Verse 7, then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman.
Right, she gave Haman house to her.
And him they have hanged upon the gallows because he laid his hand upon the Jews.
Right, you should have never done that. I'm telling you, babe, I better leave the Israelites alone. That's what y'all better do. But they not. They gonna keep messing with us, and they gonna seek the wrath of the Most High.
Verse 8, write ye also for the Jews, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it.
Right, the king, the ring that he gave Mordecai. So now he's saying, y'all go ahead and just make up new stuff. Make up a bunch of stuff that fits y'all, that that y'all can live how y'all want to live, prospering how y'all want to prosper. We done with Haman and what Haman came up with.
And seal it with the king's ring.
Right, so everybody can know it's real. Another point. It's a lie. It's a lie.
For the writing, which is written in the king's name, and sealed with the king's ring, may no man reverse.
Right, no man reverse. We're going all over the where we at? Yeah, we can drop it right there. Let's go to 13.
13, come. Verse 13, the copy of the writing.
And we if I may, we just going through the main parts of this. Feel me? So y'all can get the understanding of the Feast of Purim. You can go read the whole book on your own time.
Verse 13, the copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people.
Right, so they reversed everything. So everybody can know that the Jews is safe. We good. Don't touch us. The queen is a Jew. The second in command is a Jew.
And that the Jews should be ready against the day to avenge themselves on their enemies.
Right, against their enemies. Because you got to understand, a lot of people was attacking us because of Haman. You feel me? And now it's time for us to avenge ourselves for it. We're going all the way to 17.
Come. Verse 14. So the posts that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment, and the decree was given at Shushan the palace. Verse 15. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold.
Right. Remember, he said he had on sackcloth. He rent his clothes. Now Mordecai riding around fly with a crown of gold on.
And with the garment of fine linen and purple.
Fine linen and purple. And what you got to understand about the purple is back then, it was real hard to make purple. It was real expensive. So if you had on a purple garment back then, that meant you had some money. You feel me? That meant you had some money. Now purple is easy to make. It's nothing. It's not a big deal. But back then it meant royalty, which is why we always say about the IUIC. They rocking all of that purple garments and stuff like that. They got that from the Romans, because the Romans, you feel me, all these kingdoms that ruled back then knew that purple was expensive to make. So them wearing purple is not royalty right now. You feel me? That's them just want to be just like the heathens.
And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. Verse 16. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor.
Right, and that was the whole point of this, to get lightness, glad, and honor. You feel me? And joy, because we was suffering. We was in captivity. And Mordecai wasn't feeling that, because he loved his people the same way Moses did. You feel me?
Verse 17. In every province and in every city, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day.
Mm-hmm. A feast and a good day. They had to remember this. And that's what we get into, the Feast of Purim. They had to remember this. Go ahead.
And many of the people of the land became Jews.
Mm-hmm.
For the fear of the Jews fell upon them.
Right. And what's that scripture in the New Testament? All of Israel, not of Israel. You feel me? People want to come be us. They want to come do like us. There's like all the people that kiss, all the white people that come kiss our boots. They can't. You feel me? When they see us out there being us, doing what we do, hell yeah, they gonna want to be us. They want to do what we do. You feel me? And in Christ's kingdom, everybody gonna serve the Most High. But you ain't gonna be a Jew. But everybody gonna want to come serve the Most High. So you could drop that. Let's go to Esther 9 and 2.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 2. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king of Cyrus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And no man could withstand them.
Right. So Mordecai sent out everybody, man, look, anybody that touched us, did wrong to us, man, is cracking.
For the fear of them fell upon all people.
Yeah, the fear of the Jews fell upon all people. And that's what's gonna happen in our kingdom. They gonna fear us. When they see us, they gonna bow down. They see these shields of David's, they gonna bow down. They gonna see the Maganda. They gonna bow down, man.
Verse 3. And all the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and the officers of the king helped the Jews because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them.
And that's what's gonna happen. They all gonna help us. The same way everybody helped the white man and do whatever he say, and they always want to just do and please him. That gonna trickle over to us.
Verse 4. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out through all the provinces.
Yeah.
For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater.
Yeah, man, because what he did was amazing, man. What he did was amazing, man, and it helped us survive, man. All them Jews could have died in them 127 provinces. You feel me? So think about how many more babies came out of that, and it made him famous.
Verse 5. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword.
Now it's time to get to work. You feel me? Now it's time to go to war. We got the okay from the king to go to war. Think about if the king of America told us go to war. Anybody that ever came up against y'all, do what you got to do. You feel me? And that's what was happening back then. And they went to war. You feel me? Because war brings peace
and destruction, and did what they would unto those that hated them.
Right. Anybody that hated them, man, they went to war with.
Verse 6. And in Shushan the palace, the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men.
500 people had to go. Just in where the palace was at. That's where the palace was. 500 people there had to die. And we're going to get into a bigger number in a minute. So yeah, you can go to 9 and 12.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 12. And the king said unto Esther, the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace.
Right, that's the main city. That's just like Biden say, hey, blacks, Hispanics, go do whatever you gotta do for everybody that hated you. And we go to DC and kill 500 people. In DC, you feel me? We go to DC and they were like, man, it's 500 people dead in DC, man. What the hell going on? You go ahead.
And the 10 sons of Haman.
They had to go. The same way King Saul was told to kill all the Agagite. But he kept the king alive. Not this time. Haman and his sons had to go.
What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? Now what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. Or what is thy request further? And it shall be done.
You're right. The king say, man, do what y'all gotta do. The king, because now Mordecai the second in command. Remember, Haman got the okay to do this. Haman got the okay to kill all us. Now Mordecai got the okay to kill all them. And it's happening. You feel me? We're going all the way to 17.
Come. Verse 13. Then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be granted to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow also according unto this day's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 14. And the king commanded it so to be done.
Right, let it be done. Let all Haman's sons die with him. He died, now let his sons die too.
And the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons.
Right. It's all type of, it went up. It went up. That's what I'm saying. Haman did this to himself, just like the so-called white man. What he did to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, he did it to himself. He did it to himself. When this kingdom get destroyed and fall, he did it to himself, man. He could have left us alone. He could have gave us reparations in our own land and left us alone. But no, he chose to keep messing with us, man. He chose to keep messing with us.
Verse 15. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day, also of the month of Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan.
Mm-hmm. And that's in the palace. That's 300 more. That's 800 people. Go ahead.
But on the prey, they laid not their hand.
That's right. That's talking about the spoil. You feel me? And you know why why they ain't touched the spoil of these people? Because of the same thing that happened with back in the Old Testament with King David and them, man. And they was losing the war, and they wondered like, damn, why we losing it? What's going on? And that's because somebody had a Chinese garment, a Moabite garment. You feel me? And they losing the war, not even knowing. And guess what happened when they found out the dude that had the Moabite garment? They killed him. They killed him. So they not touching the spoil. They just want them. They don't want none of their personal property. They just want them.
Verse 16. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together. That's like verse 17. On the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th day of the same rested day, and made it a day of feasting and gladness.
Right. They made themselves feasting. You hear me? They made themselves feasting. You hear me? On the 14th day, they rested. And they made it feasting because this was a celebration. All our celebrations, all our high holy days, it got war behind it, man. You feel me? It's all about war. Life is about war. You feel me? Life ain't all about peaches and cream. You feel me? Go ahead. Let's go to Esther 9 and 20 through 31.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus, both nigh and far. Verse 21. To establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same year.
Right. And it's not a feast of Purim is born. You feel me? Because we killed so many of these heathens that wanted to kill us. It backfired on them. Because the Lord was with us, because we had a badass sister named Esther that persuaded the king to let us do whatever the hell we wanted to do. I ain't lying. That's what he said. He said, oh, y'all do whatever y'all feel is right. That's what he said. That's the crazy thing.
Verse 22. As the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy.
Because it was supposed to be the opposite. We was the ones supposed to be getting killed. The whole time it turned to us doing the killing. Us saving our people.
And from mourning into a good day.
Yep, that's exactly what happened.
That they should make them days of feasting and joy.
Right, we should party for 2 days straight. Why not? Y'all party on Saturday and Sunday? Y'all ain't got no reason to. So why we can't party for 2 days straight?
And of sending portions one to another, and gifts unto the poor. Verse 23. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them. Verse 24. Because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them.
Right, the Jewish man against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's how you got to look at it. Haman was what you today would be the so-called white Jewish man, and the Jews is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. It's happening all over again.
And had cast Pur, that is the lot, to consume them and to destroy them. Verse 25. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head.
It's gonna happen to you, so-called white man. You don't understand. Everything you doing to us is gonna happen to you. Y'all gonna be in ghettos. Y'all already going through the the opioid epidemic. We went through the crack. Now y'all going through the opioid epidemic, overdosing, killing yourselves. Everything is being returned unto your own head. Go ahead.
And that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows.
Oh, we was hanging on trees from city to cities. Guess what's gonna happen now, Mr. So-called white man? Your sons and daughters gonna be hanged on trees. Y'all gonna kill yourselves.
Verse 26. Wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. Therefore, for all the words of this letter, all the words of this letter, and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them. Verse 27. The Jews ordained and took upon them and upon their seed and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writing.
Right.
And according to their appointed time every year.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. We and that's what we doing. Feast of Purim. We keeping this. Feel me? We keeping this forever. These are high holy days. They celebrating Valentine's Day, Easter. You feel me? We celebrating real life stuff that happened. You go with it.
Verse 28. And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family.
Yeah, remembered. Kept
Every
throughout
province.
Every generation, throughout every family.
Every city. And that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 29. Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew wrote with all authority to confirm this second letter of Purim. Verse 30. And he sent letters unto all the Jews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus with words of peace and truth.
Right. Now it went from us dying to just peace and truth. All because of Mordecai and Esther.
Verse 31. To confirm these days of Purim and their times appointed, according as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, and as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed the matters of the fastings and their craft.
Right, it's all about the seed, because reincarnation is real. We come back through our seed, man. We come back through our children. That's why we celebrate the Feast of Purim every year. You feel me? And we're going to keep doing it. You feel me? Until Christ come back and say otherwise. So your last scripture, let's go to Esther 10 and 3.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 10, verse 3. For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus.
He was the second in command, man.
And great among the Jews.
He was great, mighty.
And accepted of the multitude of his brethren.
Because he saved everybody. He saved everybody. Him and Esther. You feel me? They plan saved a lot of lives, man. But right now, black people just want to say themselves. They don't give a damn about their brethren.
Seeking the wealth of his people.
Of his people.
And speaking peace to all his seed.
And peace unto all his seed. How did Esther and Mordecai get peace to all his seed? By going to war. By risking their life. That's how it's going to happen. You're going to have to go to war. And you're going to have to risk your life. That's how you're going to get peace. The only way that's going to happen in the ISUPK under Commander Hunter. Because we seek war. We look for more enemies every day. Because we know the more enemies we destroy, the more peace that's going to come from it. Feel me? But we're going to end the Feast of Purim. Feel me? Yahweh Shem, Yahweh Shabbat Katham, Yahweh Shema Tham, Yahweh Shem Shah. Class dismissed.